what is Jesus actually saying? Here's the point that we need to understand. Transformation only occurs when the physical aligns with the spiritual. I mean, that change that you believe you need in your life, that change that you crave, I promise won't stand a chance if you simply focus on the physical. And that's what we do. That's what I do. When I see change that I need to make in my own life, I focus on the physical because it's tangible. I can see the change. I can recognize the change. I can say I can do these next steps and it will change in my life. The truth is, you and I will never be able to get to that place of transformation without the spiritual. It just won't work. You see, because change can happen without the spiritual. I think we would all recognize that and agree with that. I mean, I don't need God or Jesus to kick a bad habit in my life. I don't. I don't need Jesus to change my emotions. Circumstances can do that. Change happens all the time without the spiritual. But transformation, not a chance. Not a chance. I mean, I think that's what Jesus is trying to get Nicodemus to understand here. And then he says something that is probably the most famous verse in all the Bible. My guess is everyone who's watching has heard this in some kind of translation, John 3:16 and 17. Listen to what Jesus says to Nicodemus. For this is how God loved the world. He gave his one and only son so that everyone who believes in him will not perish, but have eternal life. God sent his son into the world not to judge the world, but to save the world through him. Jesus says, this is who I am. This is what I represent. This is what I'm trying to do. Save the world. Transform the world. And I think it was at this moment that it was the aha moment for Nicodemus. It was the moment where Nicodemus began to transform his life. Because it's interesting that this is not the last time we hear from Nicodemus. Just a couple of chapters later, Jesus is being interrogated and there's some guards who let Jesus go. And so the Pharisees get together and they're arguing about why did you let the Jesus, our great enemy, go? You had him in your hands and you let him go. And Nicodemus is around, and look what John chapter 7, verse 46. They're questioning the guards. Why did you let him go? We have never heard, the guards say, we have never heard anyone speak like this. They're talking about Jesus. Verse 47, have you been led astray too, the Pharisees mocked? I mean, they're angry. Is there a single one of us rulers or Pharisees who believe in him? This foolish crowd follows him, but they are ignorant of the law. God's curse is on them. They are mad. Look at verse 50. Then Nicodemus, the leader who had met with Jesus earlier, spoke up. Is it legal to convict a man before he is given a hearing, he asked? They replied, are you in Galilee too? Search the scriptures and see for yourself. No prophet ever comes from Galilee. And here's what I love here, and do not miss it. Nicodemus, the guy who had come to Jesus at night because he was afraid that no one would see him, he speaks up on the behalf of Jesus among his peers. Among everyone who thinks that Jesus is their great enemy, he speaks up. And what does he do? He questions their assumptions about the guilt or innocence of Jesus. Transformation.